good weather yesterday and again today. She didn't go into the Packers game, so I hope tonight doesn't end in a tie. But she does send her greetings, and I want to thank Charlie, the Milwaukee Youth Symphony Orchestra, which was just spectacular. All of you for being here. Governor Huckabee, thank you so much for coming in and joining us. I got a question for folks. I'm going to be brief because I want to hear Governor Huckabee. I'm excited to hear Mike's comments tonight. But how many folks here, I know we got a mix of ages and backgrounds in this crowd tonight, but how many people are parents? How many folks are parents? Okay. How many people have one child? Okay. How many have two or more? Okay. I won't keep asking because there's some here that could be way over the top of just two. But the reason I ask it, particularly for those of you who have more than one child, how many of you, when you had your second child, were just a little bit worried that you wouldn't be able to love that second and subsequent child as much as you loved the first? Be honest about it. How many were a little bit worried about that, right? Okay. How many don't admit, if you've got your kids with you, that you did love? There goes Thanksgiving, it's right out the window. That's not where I was headed to. Well, the reason I asked that, so Matt and I are blessed with two sons. One's actually down the way tonight at Marquette University, and the other is a freshman over at the University of Wisconsin. Both will be back with everything working out all right. One tomorrow night, one the next day on Wednesday for Thanksgiving. And of course, Tonette and I, even though they're not that far away, are pretty excited about that. But I was thinking about what to share. And it ties in with something that Tonette is doing in addition to supporting the World Orphan Fund tonight. And that is, somebody cynically might look at a gathering like this tonight and say, well, how can you be worried about orphans in another part of the world when there are problems right here in Wisconsin? And for all of us, like Tonette and I, who have more than one child, we know the answer to that. God's grace abundantly gives us the opportunity to love and to share that love, and that love doesn't get divided with more than one child. That love is compounded. And we're able to share that love not which is the first, but maybe the first and the second and the third and the fourth and others. And that's one of the great gifts that we're given from our Lord, is that we're given the ability to love more than one child. In fact, many of you here, even those who didn't raise your hand for having a son or a daughter, probably have a niece or a nephew, someone close, and you're able to share that love as well in ways you never thought you could. And so I was thinking about, tonight, one of the other things that Charlie did mention, again, in addition to Teen Challenge and other activities she's done, over the last 2.5 years, early on, we went to New Governor School. Remember that? The NGA puts that on, and they talk to you about what you should do for the first spouses. They kind of say, okay, here's some ideas of projects you should pick and make out certain things and figure out what your niche is. And Tonette had been enthralled by Teen Challenge, so she did that. She likes this Walk with Walker thing she does. But somewhere early at our church at Meadowbrook, someone had talked to her a little bit about trauma-informed care and foster care. And she said, that wasn't her interest, it's not what she studied, wasn't what she was really into. And then somebody else she bumped to at another event brought it up to her. And after about the 5th or the 6th or the 7th time, she finally said, maybe God's sending me a message. And so she spends her darling noses, because she was just with Tonette last week in Wausau working on some of that. But she's got something called Fostering Futures, which is all about trauma-informed care, where she worked with some researchers in higher education. She worked with others in the community, and she's really working on trying to help, particularly in the foster care system, but beyond that, young men and young women who've gone through traumatic incidents and understand the full impact of how to help treat and deal with that in a way that provides the kind of love and compassion not only the kids need at that time, but to build them into a life of success thereafter. And it made me think about that, Charlie, when you're talking about it, when you heard RJ talking about it. Doing things like that are great, but that doesn't in any way take away from her ability, our ability, all of us here's ability to do something remarkable in a different country, in a different place, in a different language, because God gives us that grace that is true for every parent, for every aunt or uncle, for every grandparent who's able to love more than just one child. We're able to care for all of God's children. And so we have a tremendous opportunity tonight to do something beyond just our comfort zone here in Wisconsin, beyond our comfort zone here in the United States, but to help in a way that really for a very minimal amount. RJ talked about, the video talked about that, in a way that it really isn't that big of a deal financially for us. We're able to provide tremendous support for young people, kids. As you saw, there will have a dramatic impact, and so it's really my honor to be here tonight. Now, I know Charlie's going to introduce Governor Huckabee, but I just want to say one other thing about thanking him and his wife for both being here, and that is, I don't know how many of you on Saturday, but after I watched the Badgers keep the axe by beating the University of Minnesota, and I won't rub in how great our football coach is and not the one we left, but well, did I say that? See, they got Arkansas, but I won't rub that in too much. You love when people say that I can rub it in, and they do. But after watching that game on Saturday, I flipped over and I happened to catch part of Huckabee on Fox. And one of the things that actually fits so well with this, many of you who know Governor Huckabee, both from the show and his previous times, Governor knows he's a great bass player. And so I was thrilled, all of you in this room who were too young to know Kansas, but for all the rest of us who are excited. The lead singer of Kansas was on the show, and Governor Huckabee strapped on his bass guitar and was playing with him, and the lead singer's brother was playing. He had a nice band set up out there. That was pretty cool in of itself. But the reason for him being on was to tell the story of a different song than the one he was playing about his daughter. I believe I remember right from the story, the mother of the birth mother of his daughter was what, 13? 13 years old. And thank goodness chose life. And so there in the crowd sat the lead singer of Kansas' daughter, his wife. That's the other amazing thing. That could have been breaking news. It was a rock star with almost 30 years of marriage to the same woman. Which was pretty amazing too. But he had his whole family, but his daughter was there and talking about the wonders of that adoption and how they were given that great gift because of that 13-year-old's choice. That decision that she made to bring that child into the world. And it just made me think how appropriate that you're here tonight, because in honoring life, we honor not just bringing children into the world, but we honor making sure that at every stage we take care of them and provide them the kind of help and assistance they need. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you to all of you as well.